I'm going to go through the solution of the fruit boxes problem. This one's a little longer than my other solutions just because this was probably the technically hardest question that I asked this semester. I know some of the other ones had tricks and whatever, but this is a hard question. And so let's go through it. This is one we've got 3 boxes. One of the boxes just has bananas, one just has cherries, and one has cherries and bananas. They're labeled bananas, cherries, bananas and cherries, but each of the boxes is labeled wrong. We want to know if we can figure out what's in each box by only taking one fruit out of one box. So what we're going to do is a heuristic called exhaustion. This is a heuristic I'll use when there's only a finite number of choices and we can just go through each one of them. So here we have 3 different boxes, and if we pull a fruit out of any box, we have the possibility of getting 2 different fruit, a banana or a cherry. 3 times 2 is 6. That means we've got 6 different scenarios to look at, 6 different things to work through. So I'm going to put the label of the box in quotes. So the quote bananas box is the one labeled bananas. So here are the 6 things that could happen. We could pull a banana from the bananas box. We could pull a cherry from the bananas box. These 2 go together, right? This is we're picking the bananas box, and these are the 2 things that could happen. Or we could pull a banana from the cherries box, pull a cherry from the cherries box. Again, those 2 go together. And then finally, we could pull a banana from the both box, or we could pull a cherry from the both box. Okay, so let's just go through these one at a time. Let's start with banana, from bananas. Okay, so if I pull out a banana from the bananas box, I know that this can't be the bananas box because that's how it's labeled, so it must be the bananas and cherries box. There's no way it can be the cherries box because there's a banana. It can't be the bananas box because it's labeled bananas, so it's got to be the one with both. Now, let's look at what must be in the cherries box. It can't be just cherries, right, because that's no good. It can't be bananas and cherries because we've already used that label. We know that's what's in the first box. So the cherries box must actually have bananas, and that leaves just one thing. The bananas and cherries box must have cherries in it. Okay, if we choose the banana box and we pull out a banana, we succeed. We know what's in all 3 boxes. Scenario 2, let's suppose we pull a cherry from the box labeled bananas. Now, what that tells us is this box is either cherries or it's bananas and cherries. We knew that before we started. Like, this doesn't give us any new information that we can use. So this is actually a failure. So putting these 2 together, when we pulled a banana from the bananas box, we succeeded. But when we pull a cherry from the bananas box, we fail. So we can't choose the bananas box because there's a case there, a scenario where it doesn't work out. Okay, let's check the next one. Suppose we pull a banana from the cherries box. Okay, if we pull a banana from the cherries box, then we haven't learned anything. Again, this is either the box for bananas or it's bananas and cherries, and we're no further along than we were before we pulled out a fruit, so that's a failure. If we pull a cherry from the cherries box, we actually do know this has to be the bananas and cherries because it's not just cherries. Then we know that bananas has to be cherries because it can't be both and it can't be bananas, and then the other one has to be bananas. So this would be a success. But putting those 2 together, again, if we pick the cherries box and we pull out a banana, we're done for. We won't know what the boxes are. Okay, let's check out scenario 5. We pull a banana from the bananas and cherries box, then this has to be the bananas box. There's nothing else it could be. It can't be both, and it can't be just cherries because we just pulled out a banana. Now, what does that mean for cherries? Well, the cherries box can't be cherries, and it can't be bananas, so it's got to be bananas and cherries, right? It's mislabeled, and we already have our bananas. That leaves the bananas box to have cherries in it. That's a success. All right, let's check our last scenario. 6, we pull a cherry from the bananas and cherries box. Again, it can't be bananas and cherries or just bananas because we just pulled out a cherry, so that has to be the cherries box. Now, looking at the bananas box, the one labeled bananas, it can't be bananas because that's what its label is. It can't be cherries because we know where that box is, so it must be bananas and cherries. That leaves just bananas for the middle box, the cherries box, and this is a success. Since scenarios 5 and 6 were both successes, no matter what I pull out of the bananas and cherries box, I'll be able to correctly label all 3 boxes. So that's the box we should pick from. And again, this heuristic is called exhaustion. We just listed out all the possibilities and then logically went through what would happen in each of the cases.